Thank you, Chairman McCall, Ranking Member Thompson, members of the committee. On behalf of Governor Patrick, I thank you for this opportunity to share thoughts and insights as you take your first look at the tragic events related to the Boston Marathon bombings. The week of April 15 in and around Boston demonstrated the value of our investments of money, time, and resources in our local, state, and federal Homeland Security enterprise. Within seconds of the bomb blasts at the finish line of the marathon, an array of personnel, resources, and capabilities, many of which were funded with Homeland Security grant dollars, were brought to bear to triage and care for the wounded, communicate with the public, provide situational awareness for decision makers, ensure the safety and security of the public and critical infrastructure, set up a joint command center, and ultimately identify and apprehend the suspected terrorists. The speed with which Boston responded, supported by the state police, the National Guard, the transit police, and dozens of local, regional, state, and federal law enforcement agencies and other first responders, is a testament to the Homeland Security spending and investments in preparedness, training and exercises, effective mutual aid systems, coordinated response systems, and outstanding leadership. I speak with firsthand knowledge of the heroic work done by our public safety team on April 15 and in the following days. I arrived on Boylston Street only minutes after the blast, where I joined city and state public safety officials, including Commissioner Davis and Colonel Albin of the Massachusetts State Police. And I was still with this team, privileged to be with this team 4 days later, when the last of the suspected terrorists was captured in Watertown. I commend Governor Patrick and members of his administration, including Secretary of Public Safety Cabral, the State Police, the Transit Police, the National Guard. And I also commend Commissioner Davis, the men and women he commands, and the first responders from the Boston Fire Department and Boston EMS, and the many other local, state, and federal public safety agencies that responded into Boston for their extraordinary performance under horrific circumstances. As you all know, April 15 marked the 117th running of the Boston Marathon, one of the most prestigious marathons in the world. In Massachusetts, quite simply, the marathon is a big deal. And public safety for the marathon also is a big deal. For local, regional, and state public safety officials, the Boston Marathon is one of our largest annual events, and we appropriately dedicate substantial planning and operational resources to protect as best we can the runners and spectators and the 8 cities and towns that host the race. On April 15, the public safety community was prepared. As it has done in the past, the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency, MEMA, brought together a multi-agency, multi-discipline team last January that spent 3 months developing the operational plans, the coordination plans for this year's marathon. On race day, an 80-person multi-agency coordination center was operational at MEMA. Representatives from Boston's police, fire, and EMS services and public safety personnel from the other 7 cities and towns along the 26-mile course were present in the center, along with key state and federal agencies such as the Massachusetts State Police, Department of Fire Services, Office of Emergency Medical Services, Public Health, National Guard, the Commonwealth Fusion Center, the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, the FAA, the Coast Guard, and our partners, the Boston Athletic Association. And along the 26-mile course, local, regional, and state tactical teams, hazardous materials response teams, EOD teams, the National Guard Civil Support Team, mobile command post, and state police helicopters were deployed as part of an all-hazards operational plan. In short, when the 27,000 runners started the race in Hopkinton, as a community, we were prepared from the starting line to the finish line in Boston. As we well know, at 2:50 p.m. April 15th, 2 powerful bombs were intentionally detonated 12 seconds apart on Boylston Street, within a short distance of the finish line. The results were catastrophic. 3 people killed and over 250 injured, dozens of them seriously. The response by the public, by bystanders, witnesses, and volunteers in those moments after the blast was nothing short of remarkable. And the public safety response was equally incredible. The response that I witnessed speaks volumes about the investments that we have made in the Commonwealth to enhance our homeland security. From a high-level systemic view, several common themes and key factors stand out as we assess the massive, swift, and effective public safety response to the bombings. There is a clear correlation, as others have said, between the effectiveness of response operations in the aftermath of the bombings and our homeland security investments. The response to the bombings relied heavily on specialized capabilities that have been built and sustained through our homeland security programs. The response to the bombings was augmented through pre-existing inter- and intrastate mutual aid agreements that have been built on regional response strategies and plans. Interoperability was a huge success story. Over the years, the millions of dollars that we have invested under local, regional, and state interoperability plans ensured that responders and command personnel were able to effectively communicate between agencies, between disciplines, and between jurisdictions. We benefited from our history of using pre-planned events like the marathon as real-life opportunities to exercise and utilize our command posts and our emergency operations centers to test our plans and mutual aid systems, to activate our specialized response teams, to stay familiar with the technology systems that we rely on during emergencies, and to strengthen personal and professional relationships amongst people, agencies, disciplines, and jurisdictions that otherwise may not have opportunities to work together. We benefited from our investments in regional exercise programs that allow first responders to hone specialized skills and gain familiarity with responders from other areas who may be called in to support mutual aid under mutual aid agreements. The cooperation and collaboration across agencies, disciplines, and jurisdictions was immediate and extraordinary. There was unity of focus and unity of purpose at the command level and through the ranks, all the way down to the first responders on Boylston Street on April 15th, and to the 1,000+ police officers that participated in the state's largest manhunt on April 18 and 19.
That's Kurt Schwartz, the Undersecretary for Public Safety and Security in Massachusetts.